All right, let's just dive right in. We're going to unpack one of the most talked about, and let's be real, one of the most controversial books on strategy ever written. So buckle up. This is your crash course on the pretty ruthless world of the 48 Laws of Power. This quote from way back in the 17th century, it just sets the stage perfectly. What it's really saying is that making the people above you feel insecure isn't just a simple mistake. It can literally get you killed.
And that's the big question, isn't it? If being too good at your job, or too charming, or too smart puts a target on your back, then what are the rules for survival, or even for getting ahead? Well, that's what this explainer is all about.
The whole idea behind this book is that life isn't always fair or based on merit. It's more like an old royal court, full of intrigue, unspoken rules, and power plays. And if you ignore those rules, you're just asking for trouble.
Okay, so that brings us to law number 1. And honestly, it might be the most fundamental of them all. It's all about managing the ego of the person in charge. Because, ironically, your biggest threat often comes from the very person who's supposed to be protecting you.
So, let me tell you about Nicolas Fouquet. This guy was the finance minister for a young King Louis XIV of France, and he was brilliant. Super charismatic, had amazing taste. His parties were the stuff of legend all across Europe.
And here is where he went wrong. To celebrate the king, Fouquet threw this absolutely mind-blowing party. The problem? It was so spectacular, so over the top, it made the king's own events look kind of pathetic. Instead of showing off his own talent, what he should have done was make it all about the king, making his boss look like the brilliant one.
And the fallout? Man, it was fast and brutal. The day after the party, the king acted like he loved it. But just 3 weeks later, Fouquet was arrested on totally fake charges. He spent the rest of his life in a dungeon. He outshone the master, and he paid the ultimate price for it.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, so I just have to worry about my boss. Well, not so fast. The next law completely flips that idea on its head, warning us about the people we tend to trust the most, our friends.
So why are friends considered so dangerous in this power game? Well, the logic is that closeness can easily turn into envy. When you give them a leg up, they might start to feel entitled to it, not grateful for it. And that's when they can become, as the book says, spoiled and tyrannical.
I mean, just look at the tragic story of the Byzantine Emperor Michael III. He took this humble stable hand, a guy named Basil, who had saved his life, and made him his best friend and top advisor. He gave him everything, an education, tons of power, incredible wealth.
And what was the result? Basil got a taste of that power and wanted more. He actually became more popular than the emperor himself, and eventually he saw his best friend, his benefactor, as just an obstacle. So he had Michael murdered in his sleep, and then rode through the city with his former friend's head on a spear, declaring himself the new emperor. Brutal.
Now contrast that with Emperor Sung of China. He also worried his top generals, his friends, might turn on him. But instead of fighting them, he did something clever. He threw a huge party, offered them a life of luxury and huge estates, and basically paid them to retire. In one brilliant move, he turned dangerous wolves into harmless sheep. He neutralized the threat without shedding a drop of blood.
You know, the writer Voltaire just summed it up perfectly with this quote. In the world of power, an enemy's hatred is out in the open, but a friend's envy, that's the hidden danger you've got to watch out for.
So, if you can't totally trust your friends, and you have to constantly flatter your superiors, how do you actually get what you want? Well, that's where our third law comes in. It's all about becoming a master of misdirection.
Here's a wild story from 17th century Paris that shows this perfectly. This young marquis was hopelessly in love with a powerful countess who was totally out of his league. So he went to the famous courtesan Ninon de L'Enclos for advice, and she told him that seduction is like war. And then number 1 rule, never ever let your target know your true goal. The plan she laid out was pure misdirection. First, he was to act only as her friend. No romance. Then he needed to make her a little jealous by being seen with other beautiful women. After that, he was to confuse her, show up unexpectedly, then disappear for a while. The whole point was to get her emotionally tangled up, to have her fall for him without ever realizing she was being pursued.
And you know what? It was working. Like a charm, the Countess was completely fascinated. She was falling right into the trap. But then, the Marquis, just overcome with passion, broke the one critical rule. He confessed his undying love for her.
And in that single moment, it was over. The mystery was gone, the chase was done. What seemed charming and mysterious before now just looked like a desperate, calculated plan. The spell was broken. He showed his cards, and he lost the game.
So when you look at these three laws together, you start to see a kind of playbook emerge. It's a set of principles for getting by in a world that, according to this book, is just one long, subtle battle for influence.
So let's just quickly recap this playbook. 1. Always make your boss look smarter than you. 2. Be more careful with friends than with enemies, because envy is a powerful poison. And 3. Keep your real goals hidden. Let people walk right into the elegant traps you've set for them.
And that really brings us to the final, big question. And I'm going to leave this one with you. Is this whole thing just a dark, cynical guide for manipulators? Or is it a realistic, if maybe uncomfortable, instruction manual for how to survive in a world that doesn't always play fair? That's for you to decide.